All right, friends, today we are going to be learning about symmetry. So throughout this video, I'm going to ask you three to four big questions. And I want you to pause the video and allow yourself some time to think about the questions before we talk about them. So the first question we have is, what is symmetry? So go ahead and pause the video and take however long you need to think about it. Alright, symmetry is when one shape is identical to its other half when it is either moved, rotated, or flipped. So we can see in this leaf that it is symmetrical because this side is the same as this side. Same with the apple and the butterfly. Now, if we were to rotate these or even flip them, they would still be symmetrical. Our next big question I want you to think about is, what does symmetry do? So take however long you need and pause the video to think about, what does symmetry allow us to do? Symmetry allows us to create patterns like this one that helps us organize our world. So to break this down a little bit into more simpler terms, symmetry allows us to break down complex things such as buildings, architecture, to help us understand the meaning behind them. Our next question is, where can we find symmetry? I'm sure you have seen symmetry somewhere, but I want you to think about where else you can find it. So go ahead and pause the video. All right, we can see symmetry everywhere. We can see it in nature, movies, buildings around the world, animals, and even plants. So here are some examples of where we can see symmetry. So this is the Eiffel Tower. Now I want you to pretend my little laser here is a drawing tool. Now I'm going to start at the top and I'm going to try and draw the straightest line possible down the Eiffel Tower all the way to the bottom. Now, if you can see the line, if you can envision it, you'll see that this side is the same as this side. And you can kind of see at the top here, there is this line. So we can also see it up in there, that it is symmetrical. Same thing with this peacock. If I were to start from the bottom and go all the way up as straight as I can, we would see that this side is symmetrical to this side. And the same would be for this flower as well. All right, moving on, we're going to talk about the three different types of symmetry that you need to know. So the first one is rotational. The second one is reflectional. And the third one is translational. So before we move on, I want you to think about what these types of symmetry, what are they? So go ahead and pause the video to think for a minute. All right, so our first type is reflectional. This is also called a line of symmetry or mirror symmetry. This is when each side is split down the middle. It should mirror each other. So like we saw on the first slide, with our leaf, our apple, and our butterfly, these would all be examples of reflectional symmetry because they mirrored each other. Rotational symmetry is fan blades. So think of fan blades rotating. So when rotating the image from the center point less than a full turn, it should look the exact same. And then our last one is translational. So this is when we take something, an object, or even a pattern, and we move it in a straight line or side to side, and matching the exact same object. All right, so now we're going to play a little game of which is which. So I want you to take a moment and think about which one represents reflectional, which one represents rotational, and which one represents translational. So go ahead and pause the video, and then we'll come back and talk about which is which. Alrighty, friends, so let's start with the butterfly. So if I were to take my little laser and draw an imaginary line right down the middle, we would have an example of reflectional symmetry because this side mirrors this side. Okay, our next one, we can see we have a pattern here. This is kind of one pattern, this little thing. And we can see that it's also here, 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 and so on. So this would be an example of translational symmetry because we're moving the pattern side to side. And if we were to take this, if we were to fold it right here, you'd have patterns on either side. Now our last one is an example of rotational symmetry. So this image was actually this way. And I rotated it to make it this way. So we can see that a starfish kind of looks like a fan blade. So if we were to rotate it any other way, it would still be symmetrical. Alright, now we are going to watch a video. Now this video does go kind of quick, so I don't expect you to write anything down. However, I want you to think about in your head, from the 3 types of symmetry we just learned, what types you see in this video. If it helps you to write them down, go for it. But I'm going to slow down the video a little bit so we can understand, or so we can see, oops, what is going on? So we can see the different types of symmetry. Okay. Okay. Alright, so now I want you to pause the video, or if you already got it in your head, that's okay. What did you see? So I'm going to tell you what I saw. I mostly saw reflectional, which remember is what we mirror, and rotational, when one of the characters rotated the light up shield. I did not see a lot of translational, but I'm sure there was some in there. It just went really fast. All right, my friends, that is it for this symmetry lesson. I hope you found this helpful. See you next time.